Hey everyone, welcome to another video. As stated in the video title, this is a list of 50 best horror movie of all time ranked by critics. So without further ado, let's get started. In The Descent, a group of friends become trapped in an ominous cave filled with terrifying monsters. A group of evil spirits infiltrate one family home in Poltergeist. A teenage girl becomes possessed by a vulgar and dangerous demon in The Exorcist. In The Conjuring, paranormal experts Ed and Lauren Warren try to stop a family from being haunted by a vicious spirit of a witch. Stanley Kubrick's horror classic follows Jack Torrance as he moves to a remote hotel with his wife and son to start a new job, only a descent into paranoia, madness, and eventually murder. The film focuses on the spread of an incurable virus. Survivors of a global outbreak fight to shelter in 28 days later. Pennywise is the main villain in it, which follows a group of kids in the 1980s as they struggle to defeat the evil clone. The Blair Witch Project is a pioneer of the found footage genre and follows 3 film school students filming a documentary about a witch in the Maryland wilderness, only to end up lost, haunted, and eventually killed. A deadly outbreak swipes the globe and one family just tries to survive, and it comes at night. This horror classic follows a family of cannibals as they track down and kill a new batch of victims. This adaptation of the Swedish original also follows a lonely young boy as he befriends a vampire. On her wedding night, a newlywed is forced to participate in a horrific and violent game that involves murder. Following the death of their grandmother, a family must come to terms with her disturbing past and their tragic future in Hereditary. Kathy Bates stars in the Stephen King adaptation, which focuses on an obsessive violent woman named Annie Wilkes as she holds a famous author hostage at her home. David Lynch's trippy horror film Eraserhead follows a sad young man trying to keep it together amidst relation troubles and a seriously disturbing newborn. A devout Puritan family in 1600s New England must fight a bloodthirsty witch and even the devil himself in The Witch. The End of the World is merely the setting for Starfish, which follows a young woman coming to terms with the death of her friend. In Gerald's Game, a woman trapped in bed after a sex game gone wrong starts to hallucinate, encountering people who may or may not be real. A bloodthirsty deity, horny teenagers, and a young Chris Hemsworth are all features in A Cabin in the Woods, which follows a group of friends as they struggle to survive terrifying attacks. An old woman evicted from her home makes the loan officer life a living hell in Drag Me to Hell. Two sisters' decaying relationship is the focus of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. A quite young girl named Carrie uses her talent telekinetic powers for evil in this heartbreaking horror film. Jeff Goldblum is the victim of an insect experiment gone terribly wrong in The Fly. Shaun of the Dead follows an ordinary man in the midst of a zombie apocalypse and doesn't hesitate to poke fun and horror tropes. A vicious river monster threatens a Korean community in The Host. This horror classic follows survivors of a zombie outbreak as they shelter in a shopping mall. Another woman with past trauma in a vacation with her family when their doppelgangers show up and begin killing people. This Korean zombie thriller follows a father and his young daughter as they try to fight off the undead on a high-speed train. A young American dancer gets more than she bargained for after she joins a German ballet school plagued by murders in Suspiria. Murdered by a vindictive group of parents, the ghost of child-killed Freddy Krueger returns via dreams to kill again in A Nightmare on Elm Street. This surreal film follows Ophelia, an isolated young girl who finds solace amongst forest monsters during the horrors of the Spanish Civil War. Aliens invade a small town and slowly begins to replace all of the residents in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Tippi Hedren fans of Killer Birds in The Birds, another horror staple by Alfred Hitchcock. A dangerously cunning but lonely witch tries to find true love in this campy Technicolor film. Things go terribly away for a group of friends alone in the woods after they summon bloodthirsty demons in Evil Dead. John Krasinski horror masterpiece focuses on the Abbott family as they attempt to survive in a world overrun with monsters who hunt by sound. This Iranian horror movie follows a lonely skateboarding vampire in the fictional Bat City. In Harpoon, 3 friends stuck on a board in the middle of the ocean struggle to overcome underlying tensions and hidden dangers. A deranged and violent young man escaped from a mental hospital and returns to his hometown to wreak havoc on an unsuspecting horny teenager in this horror classic. Anthony Hopkins stars as cannibalistic but cultured murderer in the quintessential horror film. After an unprotected sexual encounter, a young woman is haunted by a creepy spirit who will only leave her alone if she has unprotected sex with someone else. Alfred Hitchcock's horror classic focuses on a young professional on the lam who winds up in a motel run by very disturbed mama's boy. Zombies roam the East Coast and the uninfected are left to fend for themselves in George Romero's horror classic. Set in Venice, Don't Look Now follows 2 parents who befriend an elderly pair of psychic sisters, one of whom might have a warning from a parent's recently deceased daughter. Cults and devil worship abound in Rosemary Baby, which follows a young pregnant mother as she grows more and more paranoia about the well-being of her baby. After the death of her husband, an overworked and exhausted single mother struggles to keep it together after she and her young child begin to be tormented by a mysterious entity called the Babadook. This heartwarming yet terrifying Swedish film follows a young socially awkward boy named Oscar as he befriends a mysterious girl with a terrible secret. Polanski's movies follows a repressed young woman who's tormented by images of violent sexual assault after her sister starts dating a new man. Timely, thrilling, and unforgettable, Get Out follows a young black man as he visits his white girlfriend family for the first time, only to become entrenched in a trippy and violent experiment. This follows up to the 1980s science fiction hit follows Ellen Ripley as she's rescued in a deep space, only to find that her run-ins with the titular alien might not be over after all. I really appreciate if you get this far from the video. A sub to the channel will be amazing to support me. Thanks for watching and I hope I will see you in the next video.